Hello and welcome to today's geopolitical broadcast. Today I'm going to be talking about propaganda. Propaganda as an instrument of national and regional policy. There was a recent development about Burkina Faso. A member of the European Parliament from France, in the person of Gomat, was able to have the European Union pass a resolution on Burkina Faso. There, he accused Burkina Faso of human rights violation. He accused them of becoming a destabilizing force in the region, and he made the allegation too that Burkina Faso has become a sanctuary for terrorists. He went further to state that a significant number of Burkinabe people have been displaced. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Propaganda as an instrument of national policy is a key component of the foreign policy of colonizers. They use it to pursue their interests, which is mainly control of resources in Africa, control of government in Africa. And when they cannot achieve that, they begin to call names. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Let's define propaganda. Propaganda means you want to kill somebody, then you give the person a bad name, and the bad name becomes an excuse for executing the person. In the case of the colonizers, any government they don't like, they associate that government with something negative. They give that government a bad name, and on the basis of that bad name, they topple the government or destabilize the government. It is their modus operandi. That is how they operate. We have seen that play out on several occasions in so many countries across the globe. Before I move forward in this broadcast, I would love to make this point very clear to Africans who are watching me. It doesn't matter whether you are a Christian or a Muslim. What the colonizer is after is control of the resources in your country. They want to run the show in your country. And if any government is resistant to that overture, then you begin to see propaganda, name calling. So it is important that you understand that anytime the colonizers are complaining about a particular government, just know that that government is either doing something in the interest of his people, or he is pursuing his own interests but not allowing these colonizers to come in and run the show. I was in Nigeria recently. Some people told me America has come to protect Christians. I told them, look, you are deceiving yourself. America has not come to protect Christians. America has come to protect American interests. That is how they operate. And because of religion, and I don't mean this in a negative sense, because of religion, Africans have been unable to identify their real enemy. If you talk to the Muslims in Nigeria, they see the Christians, their own African Christians, brothers and sisters who live in the same environment with them, as the enemy. If you talk to the Christians, they see the Muslims as their enemy. And we are often in the habit of running back to the same person who is sponsoring these terrorists for solutions. I'm going to play the video of that French member of European Parliament for you to see. then you have a first-hand knowledge of how propaganda works. Take a listen.
Message. Burkina Faso, this West African country, illustrates today the dramatic failure of the military junta in power since the coup d'etat of 2022. In 4 years, the country has gradually isolated itself from the international community, been suspended from several regional and international organizations, while fundamental freedoms are methodically reduced.
You heard that. It is not me saying all of that. That was what they told us about Gaddafi in Libya, that Gaddafi was a dictator. And for some of us who didn't have access to information then, we believed them. I later discovered that while Gaddafi was in charge of Libya, anytime Libya does business in the capital market or the international market, oil business, as a Libyan citizen, you get certain percentage automatically. You don't even need to go to work. On the street of Libya, you don't see anybody begging. You don't see any homeless person in Libya. Under Gaddafi, look at Libya today. Libya is now a Harvard for terrorists. That's where they go to train. Terrorists move freely across the Sahel. After Gaddafi died, Africa was never the same again. And the person who spearheaded that was Barack Obama. That is why I said, anywhere I find myself outside Nigeria, I will never vote for any black person that is contesting in that country. Because more often than not, they are the weapons they use against Africa. In Mali, the first leader of Mali at independence, Modibo Keïta, his government was toppled. That is why Mali is where Mali is today. Central African Republic, their leader at independence in the person of David Dacko. David Dacko was toppled by the French. They brought in Bokassa, Emperor Bokassa, the man that was killing school children on the street of Bangui because they refused to buy uniform from his wife. Some people even accuse him of eating human flesh. The final thing he did that the French government themselves went and toppled him was when he killed so many school protesters. He was able to corner them into one room, a cage. That's not even a room, that's a cage, and suffocated them. The French government couldn't tolerate it again, so they went and toppled his government, but they were the one who brought him. When Mandela was fighting against apartheid in South Africa, they called him a terrorist. They are complaining about Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger today. What happened to Cameroon? Why are they not complaining about Cameroon? Why are they not complaining about Paul Biya in Cameroon? Paul Biya is not alive again. That man is senile and useless. But he's still in charge of Cameroon. Why? Because he's paying colonial tax. What about the case of Ivory Coast? Côte d'Ivoire. The president of Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, he completed his second term in office and he changed the constitution to allow for third term. He is there now, up to today. Is that not an administrative coup? Why are they not shouting about Alassane Ouattara? Because they are using him the same way they use their leader at independence in the person of Félix Houphouët-Boigny. Félix Houphouët-Boigny was the leader that the French government used to kick against Kwame Nkrumah when Kwame was calling for African unity. They toppled the government of Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana when he published his book, Neo-Colonialism, the last phase of imperialism. They say this one is a bad example. They toppled Kwame Nkrumah's government. There is no amount of propaganda that they used to destroy his reputation. What about Fidel Castro in Cuba? They called him a communist, a dictator. But the president, the person that was in charge of Cuba, before Fidel Castro came was even worse than Castro. A very brutal dictator in the person of Batista, Fulgencio Batista. And the American government supported him because they were running the show, controlling all the fertile land in Cuba. All the companies belong to North American people, according to what Fidel Castro said with his own mouth. There was a time in Iran that the US government were in Iran and they were controlling the region from within Iran. That was when they were on good terms with the people of Iran. Today, America is bombing Iran because Iran is saying, no, we are not going to allow you to control us. We will control our own destiny. We will use the resources in our own country for our own benefit. That was when they started bombing Iran. But before, America was friends with Iran. Go and read history very well. The genesis of the problem in Iran is the United States of America that caused it. When they had a prime minister in the person of Mohammed Mossadegh, who told them that, look, this oil that you are exploring from our country, we don't benefit much. We now want to nationalize the oil and then we use it to benefit the people of Iran. They say, God, you are a bad example. British people and America, CIA, they went to topple his government. And then they brought in a brutal dictator called the Shah of Persia. It is that Shah of Persia that was so brutal to the Iranian people, then they couldn't bear it again. In 1979, they had a revolution. It was that revolution that brought these ayatollahs that the US is complaining about now, today. So you need to understand history to know what is going on. Nicolas Maduro was recently captured from Venezuela by the United States of America. They took him to America and they are using American law to try him, somebody who is not a citizen of America. Then what is this democracy? When you cannot respect the independence of other countries. Democracy presupposes respect for the independence of other people. Anytime we have a leader in Africa that is doing what is in our interest, they say, if the government is a military government, they say, no, hand over to civilian government. Do election. Go and begin to practice democracy. But they are not telling Saudi Arabia to do democracy. Because America has signed the petrodollar agreement with Saudi Arabia and the countries in the Gulf region to be selling their oil in US dollar. So the US relies on that to keep our economy afloat. So they don't have any problem telling them to practice democracy there. But when it came to Africa, they will say Africa must practice democracy because they want to have windows of opportunity to topple governments in Africa. If you are a leader, you don't behave well in your first term. They are waiting for the next election to topple you. That's how they prop up opposition. Someone you know has no money before, all of a sudden he has money and he's now contesting election against you. That's how these people operate. So the terrorists in the bush in Africa killing people, you know who is sponsoring them. Based on the video I'm going to be playing to you by another member of EU Parliament from Belgium who countered this Frenchman. You are going to watch the video and then you will know for yourself the real problem we are having in Africa, the cause of the problem we are having in Africa.
Forward. You're a bit upset about being expelled, about having been expelled from the Sahel, aren't you? Listening to some of my colleagues, especially the French on the right, and everything is starting to become a bit clearer in my head, because I wondered, in Belgium, in France, we continue to buy military equipment for billions of euros. It was specifically designed to be used in the Sahel, I thought. It's strange because we're told we need to defend ourselves from Russia, but we're buying this specialized military equipment for Africa. We're going to cut our pensions, our hospitals, our schools to do this.
And maybe you open your mind enough to realize that, oh, all these enemies that people are coming from other civilizations to define for you, they are not the real enemy. Propaganda is also part of the information they put in the media for you to watch. A friend of mine came to my house and he was like, Theophilus, this is your satellite. You don't use it to watch a CNN and all this. I said, no. Those mainstream medias, I don't watch them. Because the information is poison. They're not telling me the truth, what I need to know. So, the video that you had just watched, all of them are nothing but proof of the problem we are having in Africa. Africa is not free. If you think Africa is free, you are making a mistake. Africa is not free. Africa is decolonized. I'd watched several clips, videos of the same EU members telling Russia that you are going to the Sahel region. Don't you know that that is our sphere of influence? Don't you know that the Sahel region, Africa, is our area? Why are you going there to encroach on our territory? Why are you going there to intervene? So that is that for you. It's left for you to think, because if I say those things to my fellow Africans, they will say, you are too negative, you are pessimistic. I say, no, I'm not pessimistic. It's because of what I know that you don't know. Nobody is coming to Africa to develop Africa. They only care about the natural resources in Africa. They only care about controlling the resources in your country and your government. So the Africans who are Muslims who hate the Christians, and the Christians who are Africans who hate their Muslim brothers. If you ask me, I'll tell Africans to do away with religion, so that we begin to focus on matters of the economy and defense and see how we could defend ourselves and have real sovereignty. Because religious belief points us in the direction of the wrong enemy. We have been unable to identify our actual enemy in Africa because we practice religion too much. So I'm going to be doing another video which will be a follow-up from this one. This one will serve as the basis, as the foundation of what I'm going to be telling you in my next video. It will be an interesting episode. So all I have for you in this broadcast, I've said it all. Thank you very much for paying attention, and I will see you in that next video. Like this video, share with your friends, and then subscribe. Thank you very much for your attention.